Yes, yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Team RFI, for giving this opportunity. Um, as we have already know that today we are on the day one of this particular FDP program. That is already we know that it's on advanced tools and technology techniques for the research methodology, which is starting today and will be ending up after 10 days. And in this 10 days FDP program, we are going to get so many information regarding research paper writing and understanding the right advanced like right and proper tools and techniques for the writing the research methodology part specifically. So as this FDP is organized by Research Foundation of India. It is in the association with the Shodh, Malwa, and BPIT. It is sponsored by Eklavya University, HERF, ARGA. Also, there are so many people are associated with Team Research Foundation of India and working in different fields for the and serving the academics fraternity for different purposes, specifically in the research. So, uh, I would like to tell you about this FDP program which we are going to have. And on the day one, we are going to talk about today, that is on the problem identification and formulation and writing a review of literature. Secondly, on the designing the questionnaire and development. Then, application of SPSS for data analysis, specifically for the quantitative, and also application of Excel for data analysis. That is again for the quantitative data analysis. Also, we are going to talk about understanding the ethical issues and the plagiarism issues. Major part that we are going to discuss on hypothesis development and testing, understanding the research paper and impact factor and publication phases. Also, various research designs and sampling, compiling the references and bibliography. And in the last, we are going to talk about the conclusion and summary, how to write the conclusion and writing the summary. So these are the highlights of this methodology related workshop and FDP, or you can say training program. And okay, so most of you must be the scholars or the academicians or the faculties from different streams, and maybe interested in understanding the key aspects of different uh, sessions which we are going to have. So let's talk about it. Today I'm going to take session on I'll be sharing my slides, just a minute. Yeah. So as you already know that I'm going to take session on problem identification and formulation, or we can say the art of writing a review of literature. So let me have some base about it so that we can start with it, because ultimately the identification of the problem is important just to go for the next just go to the next step, and understanding what exact objective you want to keep in your study. Okay, and understanding that what should be the right procedure for going to the next step while we are doing any kind of, we want to frame any research methodology, and in that we want to frame the our objectives and hypothesis. Okay, so this faculty development program is going to tell you about number of things, but I'm going to start with the base, where you have to understand that that we have a sequence of writing a research paper. In this, first you see the abstract which has to be written in the last, but yes, whenever we see any of the abstract that tells us about the whole paper, whatever is there, whatever has been done in that analysis. Secondly, we talk about that first thing which actually the paper starts from, that is introduction. Then review of literature. Okay. Next one is the part of review literature. There is one part that is research gap. which we do or we identify or we understand after doing the review of literature. We are also going to talk about that today. After that, that's the next part, that is research methodology, which is specifically going to talk about the population, sample, sample size, then sampling techniques, also the tools for data analysis, tools for data collection. Also, there are a number of things which are there in this, like objectives related to pilot study, respondents, who are your actual targets. So there are so many things which we are going to decide in the research methodology. So objective, hypothesis, and testing part is there. Once this chapter is done, next is data analysis and interpretation. So for that, we are also going to have some sessions on the Excel and SPSS where you can see that how data analysis needs to be done. And next one is findings and discussion. Findings talks about what exactly we have find out, and also need we have to discuss our work with the previous research studies so that we can understand that what has been done earlier and what are we doing in this particular study, so that we can see, we can have a discussion. So findings and discussion, and the last thing comes, that is conclusion. So that is, again, we are going to have one full session on the conclusion and summary. So today I'm going to start with the problem identification, so or research questions, or we call it research problem. So let's talk about it. So what is a research problem exactly? So research problem can be, it can be a question that needs to be asked. It can be concept the researcher wants to understand. Then it can be a crisis which needs to be resolved. It can be a situation that needs to be changed. Can be a reason of dissatisfaction. So the research problem can be anything which you have to reply for. Okay. So basically, it is a kind of statement which is identifying a different knowledge gap where you see that there is something missing and you think that what it can be, and then you start identifying the answer towards that. So whenever we do any kind of research, so the first step comes in the research process is identifying the research problem. So basically it defines different parameters, what different standards it sets, that what exactly we need to investigate, what we need to do exactly. It also provides a frame, I can say a framework or the model where we need to report to the findings. What exactly we are planning here, we have to implement at the time of findings. Also, when different other people, different readers, different researchers or academicians are reading your paper, it will help them to understand the importance of the topic. Next is identification of the research problem. So whenever we need to identify the research problem, first you have to do the review of literature. Because until unless you don't know what has been done earlier, review of literature is what? The previous studies, previous work done in the same field. Okay. So in that case, you have to understand, you have to go deep down to the literature and you have to review the work. Then specifying the research purpose. That why this research is happening, what is the purpose. Also, accordingly, you have to collect the data, you have to analyze the data, and you have to do the interpretation of it. And finally, you have to report, you have to evaluate that research. And this process will go on. Other researchers will do the same kind of study, same type of study in the same area they might study. So things will go on with the time, and the people will keep working on it. So it considers basically researchers knowledge and interest. Like, you may be having something in your mind, so whenever you are doing some literatures, you will see what exactly you can go for. what question you are having, it can help you to reframe. Then it also helps you to understand the nature of the problem. Also, it will help you to get a right path on which you have to go ahead for the purpose of setting up the right methodology and doing the analysis. It also gives you ideas on what should be done. Exactly, understanding what is need to be identified. Then there can be, some research problems can be theoretical, or it can be some practical research problem which can be resolved by doing different types of analysis. So next is the selection of a research problem. So is the research problem relevant or important? That needs to be answered. It is very much important to understand whether it is really relevant. Whatever you were having in your mind about the study or the understanding your research, whatever topic you were having in your mind, is this related to that, or you are getting diverted or somewhere else? Are you in the right place or not? So is the problem relevant and important? Secondly, does a subject area suits to their interest or his interest? Sometimes we are defining, whenever we are defining the research problem, we need to understand that from where that research topic came up in our mind, and is this really is this really working? Are we on the same place where we have started, where we were having interest or do some more in literature study, doing things in the same way? So are we really still having the interest, or it is suitable or suiting to our interest or not? Does it contain originality and creativeness? Because you know that now this plagiarism is very much basically we can see that plagiarism, people are just copying the data and doing this and that. So it is really very important to maintain the originality and the creativity in your topic. You can create a different type of topic, but you should check the literature available on that area, in that area. Also, you need to understand that whether that particular topic is properly working for you or not. If not, then you can change your title and area. But if it is working, so you have to check the originality in terms of whether the topic is already done or not. Means somebody has maybe may have done something, some work on this area. They might have done some uh, same kind of research work in this particular area. So anything is possible. Always try to make your study unique and different. Maybe your research area can be different, the target population can be different, respondents can be different, you can do different types of analysis, you can change your variables, you can change approaches, anything whichever you want. Also, does the problem requires extension of knowledge? See, I believe that whatever you know, you can think, or you can see that that can be sufficient, but it cannot be complete. See, because there are so many studies are happening every day, things are changing, scenario is changing, the world is changing, so things are changing. Okay. In that case, what happens whenever you know something, you understand something, you always need extension for the knowledge. You should always try to seek more and more about that area or study. Steps in the formulation of a research problem. So first of all, you should identify the field. Secondly, you have to select the sub area. Then you have to assess the objectives. Are these proper, or as per the required scene, or your like required topic which you are thinking about, what you are having in your mind? So assess the objective, and then finally formulate those objectives. And once the objective formulation is done, then you have to raise the questions, that what exactly your research problems can be, research questions can be. So now let me talk to you about the review of literature. Before that, I would like to say that there are so many things should be there when we are talking about the research problem. First of all, proper and ideal research problem should be there. It should have a fresh perspective. It should not be, already, excuse me, it should not be from the existing body of knowledge, whatever is already there. So you should always try to contribute original insights towards it. Also, you should make sure that it addresses the unsolved matters or essential knowledge. There should be one more thing, that is that somehow it is having some potential impact on something, that whatever you are going to do, whatever you are going to identify, it should have some impact over it. It should have some relevance related to the field of study, identifying the a pattern related to study. And if you are having any dilemma about something, so it should have some significance about it, clarification. Also, it should allow formulation of hypothesis. There should something should come up basically, like so that we can frame the objectives, we can frame the hypothesis, and in reality it can be investigated. So as we already say that the goal should be smart. Okay, the goal should be smart, so specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, okay, time bound. All these things should be there. So also whenever we are planning for some research question, so then next thing comes, that is research objectives. So always you should focus on objectives wherever you are framing the research questions. Also, you should try to do or investigate this thing, that whenever you are setting up the objectives, are they researchable? Means, will it be possible to get data on this kind of situation? Also, is this possible to collect the data over it and doing some meaningful analysis over it? And are we going to really reach to a proper and meaningful conclusion? So that is very much important. So next we are moving towards the review of literature. So let's talk about it. As already I have mentioned about the review of literature, what is review of literature? So it's very important to understand the meaning of it. So, review of literature is a summary of all the reviews from various researchers, literature related to the current study carried out by the researcher. It also helps to discover what is already known about the research problem and what has to be done, means what is still left. But already the work is literature is what is already published, which is already existing somewhere. So what is already done, that also should be known. Then only we will be able to compare what we are going to keep our study different from others, and keeping a different set of objectives for the same. The material gathered in the literature review should be included as a part of the research data. Also, because see, whenever we are preparing the review of literature, we will identify a gap. I have already told you that particular sequence. That research review of literature is done, then only we can find out the gap, and we'll have some research questions, clarification, reframing of the research questions, research problem. Then only we can set up some objectives, and then hypothesis and all. So ultimately, it should be included as a part of research data because it is going to influence the whole problem and the research design. It can be used to compare the results and finding for the study. See, now I'm just focusing on this part once, and I'll tell you in details again in this presentation about this particular line. That see, whatever we are studying, we might be getting some relevant study or related study of related to your, study what you are doing. And whenever we are doing review of literatures, we will find so many reviews, the same time. In that case, we will see what, for example, you are having a similar type of topic and they have done some study, maybe only in different area, but everything else is same. Then you can see that what they have done and what are you doing. So duplicacy will not be there, and you will do some study differently in a different manner. And ultimately, whenever you are doing this literature, you will see that what topic you are having. So other studies are supporting your arguments or supporting your title or not. So discussion part, when it comes after the analysis part, that is findings and discussion. So you can also compare the previous studies, maybe identifying the same part of objectives, and you will get you can see that what they have find out and what you are going to find out. So we can also have a comparison between two types of studies. So this kind of comparison needs to be written while we are writing the findings and discussion. So it is again going to help you in the major part of your thesis, that is the findings and discussion chapter as well. A literature review is an assessment of a body of research that addresses the research question. Also, an organized written presentation of what has been published on a topic by the scholars. Obviously, we can see that what has been already published. Now, if we talk about the different resources of review of literatures, so these resources can be magazines, newspapers, electronic database, books, journals, conference papers, theses, encyclopedia, dictionary, research report, government reports, proceedings, any kind of other publications, articles, anything. It can be anything which is already published and talking about your study. In that case, these resources of review of literatures can be very nicely presented and published. And because it is published, you can consider them as literature in your study. So there can be so many resources for identifying or taking the reviews. Then characteristics. A good review of literature must be comprehensive first. It should include up to date references. It should be systematic. It should be free from the biases. It should be well written. It should be in the form of some of its parts. It should be clearly searched and selected. It can have accurate references, should be given in the review. Now, let me tell you about all this. If we talk about characteristics, what should be there while we are writing a review of literature? So, first of all, it must be comprehensive, means because it's a review of literature. So it should cover all the required information for the purpose of writing up uh, uh, any of the about any of the papers. It is going to talk about the whole thing, what kind of a paper it was, what topic they have chosen, what was their area, what was their stream, and in that, what was the title, what objectives they have taken, what methodology they have followed, what kind of conclusion they have came out with, or findings, major findings were there. It is going to talk about everything. And ultimately, in the last, we have to cite the work. What work has been done earlier, that is okay. But who has done that work? That is again very much important and very easy to get that. If somebody has done it, we have to give them credit. So a good review of literature must be comprehensive and should have the detail of the person who have done it. It should include up-to-date references. Again, as I have mentioned, that if somebody else has done the work, then you should do what? You should mention their work. You should mention their name. You should give them credit. It should be systematic in nature and it should be free from the biases. The literature of review should be systematically done. It should have it should not have any biases. Also, it should be very well written. properly in the right way it should be written. It should be in the form of some of its parts, means there can be some different variables. It can be different parts of it. It can have number of keywords on which you have to study. Next one is it should be clearly searched and selected. See, don't be lazy whenever you are searching for the literature. Okay, one wrong step can take you back. In that case, whenever you are searching for the review of literature, just choose different website or places wherever you are taking from, and choose or search or choose the right type of literature which is required, which is selected. Not everything. The basically the one which is choking or understanding from your related to your research. It helps to identify. Well, now we are talking about the purpose, so it helps to identify what is already known about a research problem. Because you are doing a review of literature, so it is really, understand, letting you understand about the research problem. That what you were thinking in your mind, is it really existing or can be done? It helps to build on previous knowledge. It also gives you idea on whether it can be done or not. Also, it enhances your knowledge, so it gives a vast information over it. Just a second. Okay. Then many published research studies contain recommendation for future research from which we can get idea for a new research study. Now, I really would like to focus on this particular point. This is really very important to understand. See, whenever I have told you that the last step of the research work is that is that is conclusion. In the conclusion, there are four major parts. Apart from the main content, there are four major parts: limitations of the study, future research scope, implications of the study, and suggestions and recommendations. So, as I have mentioned, future research scope. In that case, there is one thing you need to understand, that how this is going to help you in review of literature. That, see, uh, whenever I'm writing the conclusion, so I know what I have done in my research work, right? Am I audible to everyone? Somebody, can you please confirm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So see, whenever you are writing the conclusion, you must be knowing what have you done earlier. Okay. So now you have to write the limitation that you must have. Whenever you are writing conclusion, so you will see that you must have faced some problem. So that is your limitations. You might seek something, so you may give some suggestions. Also, there can be some implications for the society. There can be some for the stakeholders, for the researchers, and everyone else. Okay. Next, next thing is last one, that is again very much, that is future research scope. I have mentioned what happens that maybe one person is not able to focus on only one thing, various things. He may have focused in their study only on one thing, one or two things they may have covered. So there can be lots of scope of what, doing some more work. he might be having some idea. So there is always that the part is left, that is future research scope of this same kind of study. Means if somebody else is doing, they can check out the future research scope in which they can see that what that person has could not do. Means that is still place where you can get into. Means again, there is something which is left which can be studied. So that person or the researcher who is doing that study, that person may be, that person may be, uh, you know, uh, maybe thinking of doing it, but he could not do so. He or she is, just suggesting that future research scope is still there, and somebody else who is the new one, or even he or she can also do that particular part in the next research paper of them. But yes, for you also, you can check out that what is still left. So this also gives you the new, the idea for the new research study. So the review of literature is equally contributing while you are doing this, and reading the future research scope can also help you identifying and understanding the proper research frame for the study. It makes researcher know what all researcher has. It make what researchers has already been done in a particular area so as to avoid duplication. I have already mentioned whenever you are doing, you have to see that the same thing is not repeated or same thing is not done. Okay. So if something is already done, you have to see, you don't need to do it again. So duplicacy should not be there. Okay. In that case, whenever you are reading the review of literature, you are studying the previous work, also doing the future research scope, reading the scope. So you will see that yes, this has been done. Now I have to take something else. It is necessary to narrow down the problem to be studied. Also, it helps you to understand that this has been done. Now, what I have to do, what I can do. So, it helps really to understand or narrow down the research problem. How to write a review of literature? So, there can be two different ways. One is chronological, another one is thematic. Chronological order means putting the literature in a particular sequence on the basis of a time, I can say. Means oldest to the newest, newest to the oldest. It can be in the ascending order, it can be in the descending order. Means there is one more thing you have to focus on, whether whenever you are talking about the another one, that is thematic. In different themes also you can do the same, that you can write recent literatures first, then you can do the oldest one the later on. So this is one of the way of writing the review of literature, where you are putting your literatures in a same way, in terms of like writing in a proper sequence from the highest, sorry, oldest to newest to oldest. Most of the time we are, whenever we are writing, so we see the new ones first. Secondly, we are talking about the thematic. Thematic can be in different ways. It can be different variable wise, like you can take different variables and you can write the literatures. For example, you are writing or reading a paper in human resource development, climate, and banks. So I have taken the two keywords. For example, you have to talk about the literatures in HRD, then HRD in banks, also HRD then HRD in banks, also about the HRD and also about the banks, three types. Also, when we can talk about in different perspectives, so HRD in India, in Indian context, it may be different. It You may also cover some metro cities or your individual city. You can also cover international perspective of it. So state related, particular state related perspective can be brought into it. So literature review can be in different way as per your convenience and understanding. You can divide it. If we talk about the structure of a literature review, so it every literature, I'm not talking about the whole literature review, each and every Review of literature should include the introduction, methods, bod- body, discussion and conclusion, reference list. Means what kind of topic it was on which this work has been done, what methods or methodology they have followed, what was their, like we'll discuss about other things like what data they have taken, how which software they have used, and this and that. And finally we'll conclude what they have identified. And in the last, the references in citations has to be given. Means the work, whoever work you are reading, you have to give credit to them. Means you have to write their name with the year and where it has been published, because it is their work, so that should be acknowledged. So introduction, methods, body, discussion, and the reference list should be prepared. So in the introduction, we have to set some context. You have to provide the information about the field of study, and you have to focus on the review of literature. In the methods, you have to understand the approaches which has been taken, and these different sources, the way they have presented the information. In the body, a proper model, proper different paragraphs has to be in the different paragraph, it has to be mentioned, different time periods can be mentioned, different thematic models and different subtopics can be, different themes can be given. In the discussion and conclusion, you have to summarize the main contribution of the people. Basically, different studies has to be mentioned, different questions should be raised. Also, they have to clearly mention the gaps in the research. Also, this will help you to write the suggestions for the further study. Then you have to, in the referencing or reference list, you have to prepare a complete reference list which includes every important detail of the sources that you have referred to. Means if you have taken anybody's name, you have taken somebody's work, so that needs to be mentioned. Types of review of literature. So review of literature can be of different types: traditional or narrative review of literature. Okay. Then systematic review of literature, meta-analysis and meta-synthesis. So traditional narrative means a simple type of review of literature where we are writing and summarizing and criticizing the research literature, and we are coming to the conclusion about that particular topic. In the systematic review of literature, we use basically more properly defined approaches and making a complete list of different published and unpublished, means working papers, working studies related to that topic. If we talk about the meta analysis and synthesis, basically both of them are talking about the same kind of thing. The main difference is meta analysis is talking about the large quantitative findings, and meta synthesis is talking about the qualitative studies where non-statistical methods are used. And in the meta-analysis, because it's just talking about the quantitative findings, so it is talking about the statistical analysis. If we are going to talk about steps of review of literature, so first you have to select the topic, you have to search the literature, and you have to develop the argument. Then you have to survey the literatures, then critique the literature, understanding whether it is proper or not as per your requirement, and then you have to write up the review. So basically you have to first plan and understand what type of review you want to do. Then you have to see or define the research question on the basis of which you have to review. Then uh, you have to start searching the literature as much as you can search. Then finally, you have to start reading and evaluating all this, the process, the whole arguments. Then also, whenever you are serving the literature, you have to organize the sources. You have to understand the different referencing thing. Then, you have to critique the literature. You have to combine the ideas from different sources. And finally, you can write the review, and you can develop a thesis or a paper or a any kind of a chapter in your thesis or paper where different reviews can be written. And then finally, you have to review the work. So this is all about the review of literature. If we talk about concluding the review of literature, what you have to do first, you have to summarize the ideas. You have to understand the conflicts. What are the different themes and different historical periods? Then, if we talk about uh, if we talk about the relating and contextualizing your thesis, the work, you have to understand what is the work reported in the literature. Also, you have to point out the gaps so that you can understand that what exactly which kind of gap you have to fulfill. Then also you have to it is a transition to the next chapter, as I have told you that it is step by step it is going to work. So providing a reason why this work is being done and how it has been done, it is going to take you to the next step, that is such gap, and writing the objectives, then hypothesis, and then finding the right methodology for the same, and everything else will go in the right way. Step by step needs to be done. So it basically helps you or gives you a foundation over what exactly your topic is talking about. Also, it helps you to identify the gap, which gives you a knowledge over. Uh, uh, it gives you the knowledge over uh, the base for the study. Then also a review of literature is because it is done and for the different periods, so you can also understand how it is helping you or how it has been changed from one period to the another period. Now if your study is going, what your study can contribute by adding to the new research literature in the new field, in this particular field. So it can be done because it has been found from the different sources, like from the books, from the article, from the magazines. So it can be a good source or understanding your topic, understanding or increasing the knowledge, getting more learning from this. So again, review of literature provides you a good base for everything for the your current knowledge. Also, also it helps you that somebody, people who have done it, where they were bounded, what kind of limitations they were having. So you will also can have some different ways of doing this research if you are not getting a proper expected results, expected outcome from the study. So what limitations other have faced, you can also do this, you can follow the different approach for the same. Just a minute. My laptop is getting discharged, so I'm just putting it on charging. Just a minute. Yes. So it is basically providing base for your study, and it gives you understanding or doing some critical evaluation on the topic. It helps you to discuss more and more about it. Next one is, there is one thing which comes in the mind of people when they are doing any kind of review of literature. So First, like, what is it, what should be the length of review? So let me tell you, it depends on you all the time. It is completely depending on you. So depending on the purpose, as a part of PhD thesis, if we talk about the MSc dissertations, so literature review can be, should be comprehensive, and it should cover all type of research on the topic. Okay. And when it comes to as a part of research proposal or the project, so it covers the different aspects related to the research. So it would be comprehensive, but not that much. It was there in the uh, uh, in case of PhD thesis. When it talk we talk about this a part of research report or research paper, so a review of literature covers the major work that has been done on the topic recently, but it does not try to identify all the research on the subject, obviously, because research papers cannot be as big as a research thesis or something. So basically we should try to add and find out the keywords which are very much relevant, very much close to the title, and those things should be covered. Okay, so next is, what some points should we remember when we talk about the review of literature. Number one, you should always, should be written in a formal and academic style. It should not be like whatever you want, as you want, you can write in the way. So no, it should have a proper sequence. It should have, I have already told you how. It should have a formal and academic style. Properly writing should be written. You should keep the writing clear and concise. You should avoid columns, commas, and everything. You should try to avoid such uh, general language and personal language. Also, you should always aim to the objective and respectful to the other opinion. Basically, you should not put any strong personal opinion towards the work anybody has done. You should not write anything against anyone. You should not use such words like it is not consistent, so inconsistent, lacking in the certain areas, based on the false assumptions. You should not write such word. You should, if you want to accept it as you want, okay. If you don't want, don't go for it. When introducing someone's opinion, do not use says, but instead of appropriate verb, which can be that you can write such words like argues, claims, states. Such kind of words can be used in this particular area. So you have to strategize your research plan. You have to define your research, and also find these relevant keywords whenever you are writing a review of literature. You should find sources from different areas. Also, and you have to describe the research methods as well. What others have taken, that is important, but what you want to take, that is again very much important. So if we talk about the any of the review of literature, you have to select the research paper which are properly summarizing and evaluating the published work on the topic which you want to study. Also, it helps readers to understand the background of the topic. And because it is talking about the background, it is obviously giving you knowledge and helping you to increase your knowledge. It's a kind of a description, a summary, evaluation of that source. Also, it is highlighting different errors. You might see that there were some limitations which other have followed, or sometimes we see that some work was very unfinished, it was not complete, people did not use proper methodology and they have come out with the results. So that idea, that ideology can be different, that they must have followed the wrong methodologies. So that can be done. So you can also rectify it, but you don't need to rectify them, or you don't need to mention it anywhere that what somebody has done, and you don't need to criticize. You can just put your point of view in your own way, and you can also write it down in the limitations that you could not be followed the exact same thing which has been found, if you find such kind of thing. Also, review literature helps you to define the central theme of the research, and helps you to understand what exactly can be done. So, you should always try to cover different articles, books, different websites, companies' websites, reports, any kind of government reports, company related reports, any facts and figures which are already available, any published thing which is very much authentic, can be help can help you to make a strong research paper. So your literature review should present your synthesis of previous research and lay down the foundation for understanding your research and appreciating its value. The last thing which comes in my mind when it comes, we talk about the avoiding the plagiarism in research. So if we talk about the avoid plagiarism research, you can paraphrase your sources first of all and cite them properly. Do not try to put it, means do not. So if we talk about the avoiding the plagiarism, because you have taken somebody else's work, so you have to cite them properly. In that case, what you have to do, simply you just from wherever you are taking, you can simply take their sources, who was the author, from which which journal article or thesis you have taken it from, in which year it has been published, what was the journal or published source name, page numbers you can mention, and then you can write the in a proper way. APA style of formatting can be used. Okay. Then all the times avoid plagiarizing your sources. Do not copy and paste. Always separate your source opinion from your hypothesis. Also make sure that consistently reference the literature you are referring to, you have to mention. And whenever you are doing your reading and making notes, it might be an idea to use different colors. You can make some you can use different colors to distinguish between different ideas, and whatever your ideas, you are writing in your own way. Secondly, you can also make an Excel where you can put it down and you can write different papers which you have mentioned or you are going to take. Try to rewrite the ideas of authors in your own words. Also, with the proper timings, you can use a proper writing, like you can properly write the reviews. Also, just don't change the few words. You just have to put the words in the different original text. Also, keywords cannot be changed, so you have to make sure that the main idea did not change. Also, whenever you are paraphrasing or writing it in your own words, so please make sure that you are not changing the author's point of view, what they wanted to write. Also, index citation are important. Put it as much as citations you can add, or from wherever you have taken the content, you should mention. So that's very much important to understand that if you are making any, you are doing any literature work, any kind of study, so the idea should be your own, not others'. So please make sure that you are avoiding the plagiarism while you are doing the review of literature. So there are two things which I have covered today. One was research problem and another one was review of literature. So that's it from my side. So thank you so much, everyone. Now, if you have any questions, we can talk about it. You can ask the question. We can discuss about the review of literature. Anyone having any question can ask me. This particular session was live on the YouTube and other platforms, social media platforms. You will get all the data, whatever information. If you have left something or any information like PPT or PDF you're asking for, you will get it there. So now I would like to have some questions. If somebody is having anything in their mind, we can discuss about it. Any questions? As Kavya Jomi, she has written some one question uh, about the one question that is about something precise about taking different variables while taking about the thematic. So, for example, if somebody is talking about any kind of different variables they are having, for example, somebody is talking about a student's perception about something. So there is we have to talk about the student perception, obviously, of course. But when they are talking about two different things, for example, self efficacy of the students, mental well being of the students, their physical activities of the students, their academic activities in the like students, or something which is they want to study. So it is all about variables. So whenever we are talking about different themes, so you can, for example, you can go for different leadership skills and their mental well-being. They can connect. You can talk about individually about the leadership skills, also about the mental well-being. So this kind of keywords, whatever you are having, those are your variables, and you have to understand which are dependent variable, which are independent variable, and then you have to study. So whenever you are talking about different themes, so different variables can be studied individually and one on each other. Then one person has asked me, do we have to complete review of literature at synopsis submission level? No, see, it's like at least you should. I cannot say the whole thing, but at least you have to write something which is already not already done. Means you have to avoid duplicacy. So yes, at least whenever like see students are scholars are pursuing their course of work, at that time they also given the assignment. They are also studying review of literature, in which they have to understand that what topic they are trying to have in their mind they are going to take. They have to study whether what work has been done in that area, right? So whatever work has been done in that area, how will you identify? You have to do review of literature. So ultimately, if you are going to be around on or on that topic only, so what will happen? Somehow this review of literature which you have done at this level will help you for sure. So you can do it, but it is not necessary for go in the very detailed form for the same. There is one more question, that is, uh, should read, sorry, how to find research paper related to research topic, search which website. See, it is just like Google is always your friend, so you can just Google it. Okay, first. In Google, you will see different websites. For example, ResearchGate is there. There are Shodh Ganga, on which you will see the theses. There are various Science Direct, Shodh Ganga. There are so many websites which are there. You can find different literature. Google Scholar is there. You will see the links. Then you can search your topic on those websites as well. I cannot tell you exact names for all those, but yes, you can search it, and they will give you so many suggestions of different websites and different articles on the same type. Is there any particular platform or journal which is highly recommended for the papers? There are so many. See, there are so many. You can just search it and you can find it out. There is no assignment for this FDP. It can be added in the dissertation. There is one more. In due course of study, if we identify a new objective or another conclusion, can it be added in the dissertation? See, while you are doing it, if you are getting something and you are at that point of time that it can be added, okay. Otherwise, if you are already reaching to the conclusion, or you are at the findings, you have done the analysis, so again you can make it as the future research scope, and then you can do the another study on the same, or you can suggest it to other people to do study on that particular topic. Somebody has written that we should read conclusion of the previous thesis to write review of literature. See, whenever you are writing the review of literature, you should read the whole paper or whole thesis. I'm not saying line by line, but you have to understand what they have done exactly. So whatever they have done, so which kind of results they have found, where you will see the in the conclusion, that so that if they have made any mistake or they have written something that you have to take care of, so it will help you in your study too while you are doing. So basically you have to understand, when you don't need to read it line by line, but yes, you can read the important parts where you can see that which kind of results they have come out with, and you will see that you can um, have those precautions in your studies. So this kind of things can be done. Yeah. Any other question?
Ma'am, we have to fill any Google form for the attendance?
No. So I hope, yeah, there is one more question, that is it ethical to use paraphrasing tools? So if you are not using any chat GPT or AI tool for creating your data, it is not ever bad to use the paraphrasing tools if it is not, you know, it is not changing your content in terms of whatever they want to say. You are also doing it manually, that is again you are paraphrasing it. So there are so many softwares which are helping you to paraphrase. So that's not the problem, I don't think so, that there is something about the ethical, being it ethical or not. Okay, so it's you can do one, you can use the paraphrasing tools just to paraphrase, not to create the content. What does it mean? Somebody wants to ask about how to identify credible and relevant sources for review literature. Basically, I think you have to download the papers, as much as literature you can download and understand and read. Then you have to go one by one and you have to create the content. Whatever you think that this is relevant. Okay, any other question? Yeah. So tomorrow I'm going to take one more session that is on questionnaire designing and development. And let me tell you, it is really going to help you creating a Google form and the key important points while you are writing a review of literature. Making a questionnaire. So I'll tell you those things, and I'll tell you how you can convert your question in the Google form. So there are so many key highlights and each and everything, all the features I'm going to discuss. So I'm going to give you live a session over the Google forms. If you can even use your laptop together, you can also learn.
The most
Or
important
if you,
part is the discussion forum.
sorry. So ultimately, I'll be gonna tell you about the Google form, and also you can learn how to create it. So if you can have your laptops with you all, so that would be very beneficial for you. So if you are having, you don't know about any of the feature of it, so I can help you in doing that. So let's meet tomorrow, everyone. So thank you so much from my side. I hope this session helped you. And if you're having doubt, you can still text to the you can write the mail to the Research Foundation of India, and we can reply to you. Thank you so much.